Got a few more miles left for the day, and it's actually kind of weird because I haven't seen anybody on trail for like hours. After I basically left Muskrat Shelter, I ran into like a couple hikers on the trail that I talked to at the shelter that left before me, but since then, just went up and over Standing Indian Mountain and on my way almost all the way down, and I still haven't seen another person. It's really weird. It's funny, back in 15, a lot of people stop in Georgia and North Carolina right around like 3 o'clock, just because it starts getting kind of dreary and you want to go to camp and you want to set up. And I'm used to hiking until like 6 p.m. So it's every day, like for at least 3 hours, I've had like the entire trail to myself. Just kind of a strange feeling on the AT. It's not something I ever expected that I would get, but yeah, still kind of dreary out here. It's been kind of drizzling here and there, but overall pretty good. I think the temps are going to drop down pretty low tonight because it keeps getting colder and colder, hence the hoodie. So a few more miles and I'll be making camp. Good morning. So, I totally got to that shelter last night, Carter Gap Shelter, and there's a bunch of people there, and I got to talking, and it was getting late, and I totally forgot to whip out my camera and film. I actually ended up staying in the shelter last night. There was like nobody in the shelter. It was going to be rainy and windy, and I wanted to kind of get an early start this morning, so I actually slept in a shelter again for the second time. Coming from a person that says I never sleep in shelters, I sure am sleeping in a lot of shelters. But off and rolling this morning, got about 16 miles till I get to Winding Stair Gap, and then I'm going to head down into Franklin to see my friends Chica and Sunsets, and get a little bite to eat, and rest for the evening before I keep kicking it to Fontana Dam and get ready to enter the Smokies. I totally forgot there's like a rock climb to get up to the top of Albert. Super steep, and these rocks are slicky as hell. It's funny the things that you forget and the things that you remember about a long distance trail.
Even though I had forgotten the challenging climb to the top of Albert Mountain, one thing I would never forget is what awaits new thru hikers at the peak. The first 100 miles of the AT. The day we reached the peak in 2015, I remember finally feeling like a real long-distance hiker that could now tackle anything. Though not technically 100 miles anymore, the old steel fire tower stands as a monument of achievement in most thru hikers' lives.
There's the official 100 miles. Clearing up. Too bad I'm just about to Franklin. I'd keep hiking.
Well, I keep wanting to tell kind of the backstory of how we got to the AT.
Just here you go. What year did you hike the AT?
We hiked the AT in 2017.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So I'll start there again.
You have to splice all this. Yeah, one heck of a gag reel.
For me, it was the people and the experiences we got out of it. I guess I wasn't really expecting that as much, so it was like a nice surprise. We formed friendships, which I'm very introverted, and Greg is slightly introverted, and we knew we were hiking as a couple, so we pretty much thought, that we might just be by ourselves the whole time, but that didn't happen. We made a lot of friends, and even though we didn't really call it a true tramily, it was kind of like a quasi-tramily. Like we'd hike with one person a couple days and maybe spend like 2 or 3 weeks with them at night, and then we'd come into another couple of people that we'd spend some time with. So that was really cool for me.
It seems relationships are supercharged on the AT because everybody's sharing in the same struggles. Everybody needs shelter, they need food, they need water, and everybody's having tough days and good days and experiencing new things. And so you just click really quick, it seems. Starting the hostel was kind of like a game we were playing to pass time on the AT, and it was kind of poking fun at some of the hostel experiences we had. So we would try to build up kind of the worst hostel that ever existed. So you'd have like 16 people sharing one bathroom, or the showers in the bathroom, and a line forms. And that sounds really negative that we were playing that game, but we had great experiences even at hostels that were had some of these attributes. But about midway through, we started building our own in our mind. By the time we ended, we're like, I think this might be what our next adventure is.
And then when we did our AT through hike and we came through Franklin, we spent a couple days here with friends, and we just thought it was really cute. We still weren't thinking of the hostel. And then as we got on with our hike and talked more about the hostel, we started talking about different cities that might be good for a hostel, and we're like, it's a long story, but we narrowed it down to Franklin.
Because we're at mile 110, Winding Stair Gap is like 109.5, but the town markets us as 110. We still get new hikers. They're only 10 to 14 days into their journey. And so I think most rewarding for me has been to be able to influence them in some way and to provide some insight from our experiences, both on the Appalachian Trail and on the Camino, on how to help their journey along. If you made it here, so many people have dropped off before here. You're physically okay. You just got to get your head right. You got this thing. And so just to provide just a little bit of motivation to help them over some of their mental roadblocks, that's been really rewarding.
I mean, it's just nice being like in the community and in the lives of new thru hikers, because we remember when we were at that stage, just starting out, 1 or 2 weeks in, and we had a lot of questions at that point. And so if we can help people, just talk with them and, just chit chat back and forth about hiking, I mean, we're loving it. We feel like we're right back on the trail almost.